Thank goodness it's Friday, September 25th. I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times. News from Arkansas and elsewhere. House Speaker John Boehner announced today that he'd be resigning from that post in October. It hadn't been an easy job presiding over the U.S. House of Representatives. Boehner's an ultra-conservative, but he's run into great trouble with the even far more conservative wing of the Republican Party. Conservatives claim this is a victory of driving him out. I don't think it's any kind of signal that we're about to reach comedy in the U.S. House. That's C-O-M-I-T-Y, comedy we may find. The Arkansas angle is really only a small one. Our Republican congressman will likely join the majority of whoever is elected to be the next speaker. Some interest perhaps in rather Representative Steve Womack from the 3rd Congressional District, who's a real player in internal House politics, currently a deputy whip, might move up the chart somewhere in House Republican leadership. That's something to look for in the days ahead. I've got a little story that I got tipped to earlier that finally came together today, and that is that the State Insurance Department is going to have to pay $1 million back to the federal government, money it misspent that was supposed to be used just to implement the health insurance exchange, but was used for general department operations. The insurance department says that it thought it had guidance from the federal government it could spend this money this way. The bill was originally going to be $3 million. They bargained it down to $1 million. Alan Kerr hopes that it can reduce it further, but this money will not come from taxpayers, but from insurance companies' fees. Last night, the Little Rock Planning Commission approved unanimously to change the name of Confederate Boulevard to Springer Boulevard. It's only a few blocks of street out on the east end of town. Springer Boulevard is named for a pioneer black family that lived in Granite Mountain on down the way on Highway 365. I think the strongest argument made for changing the name was made by somebody who defended the name with all the usual claptrap about the grand old days of the Confederacy and what a wonderful time it was, and we shouldn't stop honoring that period of time when we were defending slavery in this part of the United States. Hillary Clinton, the candidate for president, issued an op-ed today. It appeared in the National Catholic Reporter, in which she endorsed heartily Pope Francis's statement on the need to do something dramatic about climate change and environmental damage to our planet. She's wrapped herself in a very warm reception to the Pope. I happen to think she's right on climate change, of course. Whether it'll turn people's attention from the great email scandal snipe hunt, I don't know. I doubt it, unfortunately for her. The Pope's appearance again offered an opportunity today to contrast his message in Washington of justice and equity and doing something about income inequality with what's going on in Arkansas. In Arkansas, on the same day, we read about the Pope, we read about the governor talking about charging people on Medicaid for receiving health insurance, about taking away transportation for poor people to reach their doctors. We heard about highway proposals to take money to build highways by keeping in place a tax on groceries. There's some disconnect there, it seems to me, between what the pontiff was saying up east and what's going on down here in Little Rock, but that's not very unusual. Learned this morning that Asa Hutchinson has scheduled a mandatory meeting next month for all state agency heads and their lawyers to, well, learn about running state government. 9 months into his administration, better late than never, I suppose. Good news for people who believe in open government this week. There were 2 court rulings in favor of the Freedom of Information Act. In one case, a judge overruled Attorney General Leslie Rutledge and said, of course, some records on a employment blemish as a state trooper for a person who's now head of a state law enforcement agency at ABC should be open to inspection. They were released today. At least this is one case Attorney General Rutledge won't appeal. They don't show anything really more than what we already knew. In fact, it includes some information that tends to exonerate the ABC enforcement director, Boyce Raycop. Shows he took a polygraph at the time, and it said he answered truthfully when he said he hadn't cheated on a test as he was alleged to have done. He was fired anyway. It was 15 years ago. I'm ready to let bygones be bygones. If Leslie Rutledge had made the strange decision that this stuff should be secret, it might not have ever been a news story. The other FOI case, the Little Rock School District lost its claim. It didn't have to produce some email written by a principal who's in an employment grievance. She'd erased the email, said she didn't have them anymore, and of course they were able to put on testimony, as we've had in some more higher profile cases. You can recreate email even after it's been erased. The judge said they needed to produce it. And finally, a lawsuit is going to go to trial October 15th in Fayetteville over the Nativity scene on the Baxter County Courthouse. This is something that's been going on there for 40 years. The county judge has steadfastly refused to let other people put even a banner up about other seasonal observances. The humanists want to say happy solstice on a little banner, but he just won't allow that to happen. They've come up with various artifices to lease a part of the grounds for $1 to the Chamber of Commerce. Baxter County is clearly favoring one religion over another. The court precedents are pretty clear on this, but who knows? It's going to go to trial in Fayetteville next month, and we'll see if it's just a more waste of money for those who insist that Christianity is the only thing we ought to honor in our public squares in Arkansas. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back next week.